Well, good morning, beautiful, beautiful souls out there, all you wonderful people. I am by myself in the house. Mark is at a very early appointment. I feel so bad for him. He's at the Bone and Joint Clinic, has an appointment. Been dealing with his, the repercussions of what took place, when he was working at Walmart and hurt his back. Ugh, I hate it when I have stuff left over. Anyway, he was injured pretty badly when he was working at Walmart during the time this summer. And yeah, he was like asking the nurse, who was the person who was scheduling him, is there any way I could have a later appointment? And the lady's like, nope, sorry. This is what we got. I'm like, oh no, he's got to go in at 8 o'clock. I mean, I know for those of you who work a 9 to 5, it's probably pretty normal, to go to work and get up at like 6 or something, but we don't we don't do that. We usually stay up late because we have a show, like you guys know we do, and then we talk to people. Sometimes we get like people calling us and stuff or asking to call. This past Sunday, had a call from a woman who's been listening to us on our podcast and stuff, and she was just so concerned. We felt so bad for her because people are hurting. I mean, seriously, people are hurting. They are scared, and we just want to let people know that no matter what's going to happen in the future, it's nothing to worry about. There's nothing to fear, There's not even, the saying, the only thing we need to fear is fear itself. We don't even need to fear that, because fear is just a perception of danger, a perception that maybe things aren't going to work out well for us or that we're going to be in pain or anything. But understand this, everything happens for a reason. Everything has a purpose for existing. And that's our lives, we live these lives, and we have to deal with the challenges, the fear that, we're confronted with, and, we rise to the challenge, and we do. There's millions and billions who have gone before us, and we wouldn't be where we are today as human beings if we hid away from the challenges that life presents us, knowing that everything that we go through, the good and the bad, are all there for a reason. There's a purpose. Right now, I have a friend. His name is Brian. And I just really want you guys to, if you can, just manifest some healing in the specific area of comfort and relief and peace. He was diagnosed with a form of esophageal cancer, and it has rapidly metastasized, and oh my gosh, it's gone to devastate his body and ravage it in ways that I just can't comprehend, I mean, I was able to see my dad when he was in hospice care the last 3 weeks of his life, I got a phone call from my sister back in 2005. We knew that he was dying of cancer, and they were trying everything to keep him alive and to fend off what was going on in his body. But he had been given a diagnosis back in 2002, had a surgery to install a colostomy bag, and he lived with it, right? He lived with the pain. He lived with the cancer. I guess it was in remission for a little while, but then we were gonna have a follow-up surgery for him in 2004, 2 years later, and I went to go visit him because he was going to have that surgery in October of 2004. And then when I got to the airport, I just knew things weren't going to be as I thought. And my sister had tears in her eyes, and she looked at me and said, "Dad's not going to be able to have surgery. He's dying." They told us that the cancer had spread to his spine, and if they were to operate there, it could damage his spinal cord. So there at the airport, I just broke down and hugged my dad, and we all held each other as a family. And then we went to a Mexican restaurant to celebrate. No, but we went to a Mexican restaurant, as if that's going to help any, right? Because we know how dangerous toxic food is to our bodies. That in itself may have been the reason that my dad even got cancer in the first place. Because what you put into your body really does do a lot. It affects it. So anyway, he was living with this cancer, and he had been getting chemotherapy. He got radiation. He got the chemotherapy again, more radiation. And basically, his doctor, his oncologist, told us back in October that he had a year to live, and that they were going to treat his condition as chronic, and the cancer was, going to be treated, but that he probably only had a year to go. So around September, I get a call. I'm working in Minneapolis doing a baseball game, because I used to be a camera operator. So sitting there at a baseball game, I get a phone call in the middle of the game, and my sister's crying, and she's telling me that the doctor says that Dad has only a few more weeks, if that, to live. And I immediately reacted, and I got a hold of my director over the headset, and I told him that I had to leave, and they replaced me. And I grabbed a Sun Country flight one way out of Minneapolis to Ontario, California, and went to go see my dad and helped him as he made his way to accepting his own death. And that's the thing. It was hard. It was hard to see him suffer. I remember one day we went to the hospital to get chemo treatment, and he was so expectant. He thought he was going to have the bag that they attached to his leg to drain his kidneys, you know. He thought they were going to remove it, you know. And what happened was they ended up adding another one to his other leg. And it was at that point that he realized that he wasn't going to recover and that no matter what, he wasn't going to get better. So he accepted it. He accepted his fate. And we all did our best to make him comfortable. So I understand. I understand what it's like. I don't understand the excruciating pain. But I understand what it's like to be with a loved one who's dying. So there's Brian, my friend. They can't do anything for him. They sent him home to the from the hospital, and he's surrounded by his kids. He's surrounded by his dear wife, and they're just waiting. Brian said that he feels like his body is coming apart inside. Can you imagine what it's like to be in that kind of pain, where even liquid morphine and any other high concentrated narcotic that is being given to him to treat his pain isn't alleviating the suffering that he's under. His wife is praying, his kids are praying. I mean, this is a guy who, you know, loved Jesus with all of his heart, mind, soul, strength, and loves his neighbor as himself. And he finds himself in this predicament, finds himself in this kind of pain. This is how he's dying. And I ask those who believe in this God that Christians hold on to, that I held on to for such a long time, where is God? Where is God in all this? You know, I mean, wouldn't it been great to show up about now? I mean, how much suffering does this guy have to go through? You know, you gotta understand, Brian is one of those people that should live. You know, he's a good guy. He's been a wonderful example and a rock to his family. And why do good people have to suffer so badly? And yet, so many times, people that live life so self-centered and so self-absorbed, and they live posh lives, you know? I mean, so it's the irony. The irony is not lost on me. And no matter what they're praying, it's like they're giving their power away because they're trusting in this God who they're hoping will come to their rescue, and they're giving their power away, the power that we have to heal ourselves. That's the power that we have, that we possess. We possess the ability to heal our own bodies and to make cancer disappear. But we think we have to give that to God to somehow intervene, somehow in his divine higher ways, as they say, to do what he has to do or what he wants to do. Because, you know, this God, he'll do it if he feels like it. And if he doesn't, he's teaching us a lesson or whatever reasonings that Christians have for justifying the behavior of who they serve, you know. So I don't say this out of bitterness, but we tend to limit ourselves in believing the lie that we need to give our divinity away to some other entity that may or may not do what they want for us or against us. I find this to be very disturbing because there's 3 billion people on the planet who supposedly are following the narrow road, right? I don't know how you can justify saying that 3 billion people are on the narrow road and that the rest of us are on this wide road that leads to destruction, when we as light beings are responsible for our health, not only physical, mental, but also spiritual. And don't get me wrong, everything is connected to the spiritual. Everything is. You know, it's all related. We are so interwoven. This body, this physical body, is tied to our spirituality, you know, to our spirit. You know, Mark talks about how there's an umbilical cord basically that is tied to our higher self. And this higher self is that God that we're seeking, you know, after. But we never tap into that. We allow ourselves to feel like we need to serve somebody, that we need to get answers from outside and not do the work within. We put our faith in medicine, pharmaceuticals, to cover things up, to give us relief, you know, when we could do so much more, you know. There's a guy who was a Christian apologetic, something like that. And he was an up-and-comer. And he, you know, related spiritual truths about God and the Christian life. And he had been saved from being a follower of Islam, and his parents still didn't agree with him, but he was witnessing to them and all this, right? And he was like a protege to like this other guy who's like a very well-known Christian apologetic as well. His name is Ravi Zacharias. Well, this guy, Nabil Qureshi, he felt discomfort and he went to the doctor, and the doctor told him that he had cancer. Yeah. You know, that thing that's killing people, men, 1 in every 2 men are going to get cancer, 1 every 3 women are going to get cancer. Yeah, you know, that virus that is being unleashed on our planet via, you know, artificial means and stuff, all the estrogens that we're exposed to, all the chemtrails, the vaccines that the CDC is giving our children, all of these things are making us and our immune system compromised, and it's hurting humanity. And, you know, there's a plan to wipe out most of humanity. I don't know, you guys need to take a look at the Georgia Guidestones over in Stone Mountain, Georgia. It says it, you know. It's not conspiracy. They write it down. It's true. there's a target on our backs, and people don't want us to wake up to our own divinity. They don't want us to know who we are, you know. They don't. So anyway, Nabil suffered like Brian, my friend, is suffering now. He was put on palliative care. I remember one day he felt that he got relief for like 36 hours from his pain, and he was thanking God for being given that time. And he was dying of stomach cancer. Well, Nabil liked to eat a lot. Nabil ate lots of red meat. Many Christians are very unhealthy. And you would think that being connected to the source of all things, to God and to their Father, that He would enlighten them to let them know that eating junk is going to poison your body. It's going to cause cancerous cells to develop. Rogue cells will develop in your body if you eat junk. That's just the truth. So you see, it's like they are so concerned about their spiritual health that they don't find it important to care about their physical health. And it's all tied together. It's all one. We are one. We are one with every living thing. If it has DNA in it, we're one with it. And that's everything. Everything. And I mean the rocks. I mean water. I mean the trees outside. I mean the air that we feel. I mean the table that we eat from and the chairs that we sit on. It's all one. We are all one. And that's something that Christians don't understand. They think that they're somehow disconnected from the rest of the planet, and the only thing that matters, the only thing, is their spiritual significance and their place in the kingdom of God, and that their name is written in the Lamb's book of life, and that they're not going to go to hell, and that they've accepted Jesus as their Savior. You know, that's all they care about, and they want you to know that truth too. And they don't really teach anything about creating your heaven on earth. They're always expecting, always waiting, always hoping for a better life in the future, in the by and by, you know. I mean, they sing these songs like, when the roll is called up yonder, I'll be there. Or, some glad morning when this life is over, I'll fly away. All these songs about hoping that heaven comes and that God will rescue them. But Jesus isn't coming, people. You know, these stories are allegorical truths. And there was no literal Jesus Christ who walked on this earth. I went to Israel a couple times, had the privilege. And one of the things that I noticed was how religiousized everything is over there. I mean, the Christians believe Jesus was buried in the tomb outside of Jerusalem. Well, the Catholics believe that he was buried in the Church of the Holy Sepulchre that's inside the old city. They said the city was ravaged and destroyed, so the perimeters of the city aren't the same as they are if you were to visit it today. And the Christians believe one thing and the Catholics believe another, and they have shrines, and I mean, it's all a joke, people. It's a joke, you know? I mean, this was a Gnostic tradition. The story of a savior died, buried, you know, risen after 3 days, coming back again. This is a story of our initiation and our connection to our higher self. You know, it's not meant to literally make a religion out of it. And so you find people like Nabil, people like Brian, clinging to hope, hoping that God would deliver them and stuff. And they don't realize that their own habits created their own personal hell that they're going through. And they disable themselves because they're hoping that the answer would come from outside of them. That's why Mark and I say what we do. We are truth seekers. We want to know the truth, you know? We're tired of being lied to. The church has done its best to cover the truth, you know? And that is that we are divine, sovereign beings that have been duped. We have been lied to. We have been emasculated of our strength. We've been told that we're insignificant when you and I collectively have the power to literally move mountains and create worlds just by our thoughts. We are creator gods ourselves. And when we realize that, this world that we live in will change. It will. It can't do anything but change. But as long as we believe that we're shackled and bound and held hostage by the systems of this world, by the religions of this world, I myself just shake my head at how pervasive the Christian religion has been in dictating to us everything about us and our place in this world and in this universe. I believed the lie for years. I believed it. I believed that, I must decrease and he must increase, Christ within me, the hope of glory, and that I needed to wait for his coming and all this stuff, and wow. Meanwhile, my friend Brian is ravaging in excruciating pain. He told his wife that he felt like he was being tortured by dark spirits. Now, let me understand this correctly. This is a man who was a good man, loves his family. Do you think that if this God were real, that he wouldn't be in this position of being tortured by evil spirits? My own dad, before he passed away, the Sunday before, we were all over by his bedside. He was convulsing. He was in fits. He was like moving in ways where he felt like he was being tortured, this is a man who grew up as, and accepted Christ and was a deacon and worked in, with pastors and, was a good guy. Yet here he is at the end of life dealing with demonic attacks, to add insult to his cancer. His body's already being ravaged. But I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it's like, don't you think the God of all comfort would come at that moment? You would imagine. But I think he got to a place later where he accepted. He accepted what was happening to him. He accepted that he was not going to live any longer. And he made peace with himself. And he made peace with the thought that things weren't going to be the same. It's amazing. It's amazing. The truths that I'm learning, the things that I'm grasping for the first time in my life, it's like, I just feel like I'm learning a lot. I'm learning a lot, and it's very liberating, and it's very empowering to have this, to be able to I don't know. It's awesome. It's awesome to know, to truly know that I am a fragment of the divine, and that I have the ability to create my future as I see fit. And I am only I'm the only person that's going to judge anything about me. My higher self will judge me for the things I've done. I will not be standing in the presence of some big, bad, supreme being who's going to have me come forward to his throne and have me take a knee and look at the shadow of his presence and tell me, this was your life. You did this, that, and the other. What do you have to say for yourself? It's not going to be that way. Because I'm doing the work right now. I'm forgiving myself right now. I'm judging myself every day for the things that I say. And every day is a new day. And every day is a day that I make peace with myself. And the decisions that I have made. I hope my friend Brian finds peace. I really do. I really do want to ask you guys that if you can, take some time out of your day and just whisper a little bit of manifestation towards Brian, that he would get comfort, that he would get peace, that he would get relief from the excruciating pain that he's in. And that he would not suffer anymore. Because no one deserved to suffer like that. And I also want to ask, that people would just consider their own sovereignty for a moment and realize that you guys are powerful. You guys are amazing. And you guys have that spark of divinity inside of you. Don't give your power away. Don't give it to anyone. Don't bow your knee to anything that demands you and your service. I know. Old habits are hard to break. They are. Being an indoctrinated Christian for as long as I have, believe me, I get it. I do. It's hard. It's hard to forsake the things that you've been taught to believe. Some of us for a very long time. Some of us since we were born. All I knew was the back of a pew and a Bible, and that I needed to give it to God. I mean, I was told, you need to give it to God. So in my struggles with my gender, I gave it to God. You know, I asked him, God, can you please take away these feelings that I have of not being comfortable in my gender? Can you just get rid of these feelings, you know? And come to understand that this is who I am, you know? This is me. This is my person. And I was responsible for me. I'm responsible for being this person. I created me. No one created me. I did. I made the contracts to come and incarnate in this life as me and to suffer the things that I've suffered and enjoy the things that I have enjoyed. And the same goes for you. We have no one to blame for why we suffer, for why we triumph. It's because we're creator gods and we did it. I've been able to experience life on both sides of the fence of gender, and it has been interesting. It has been a journey, and I know it's not over. I know that there's still much to learn, but I'm grateful. I'm grateful for this journey. I'm grateful that I have been given this opportunity to both combine the masculine and the feminine and to become a being of light and to balance myself more so. I'm not going to say I'm all balanced out because I still have my gender dysphoria. Mark doesn't deal with it as much, but I do. You know, I mean, there's moments where I think, gosh, I wish I was born in a different body. I mean, yeah. But those feelings come and go. And to be honest with you, I don't think there's a person on the planet who doesn't complain about something about themselves, you know? So I take it with a grain of salt, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful for this lesson that I've been given to work through. And I hope that my journey and my experience is something that can benefit someone else. If there's anything I can say, anything I can do to help you understand that you are a beautiful, beautiful being and that you are divinity. And the God in me recognizes the God in you. We are all one. Thanks for listening. And I will see you later today on our podcast. Bye.